begins with one of my four main characters who's about to get on a ship to escape, like hundreds of thousands of other people were in a frenzy to do. And if you can just imagine New York City and a sudden panic and the millions of people there suddenly saying, we have to go or we might die and our children might die. And then, you know, every exit, every boat, every plane, every way to every rowboat would be occupied and people would be crashing into each other and sinking. And that's exactly what happened in Shanghai. And by 1949, Shanghai and the rest of China was actually a chaotic turmoil, quite a mess. People were already struggling because they had gone through 8 years of a terrible world war. So World War II for the rest of the world was a shorter period of time, but for China, it was 8 years. That war began for China in 1937. Mm-hmm. And people had suffered all through that time of Japanese invasion and occupation. And Shanghai had been occupied for that whole time too. So people were starving to death. As soon as the Japanese surrender took place, the Civil War between the nationalists, who were the old guard, they were the old government that had been terribly corrupt and allowed a lot of abuse to happen to the Chinese people. Well, they were on the way out. The communists were, starting from the countryside, were having battle after battle, terrible battles where hundreds of thousands of people died on each side in these battles. But so that was the condition that Shanghai was in at the time. And so when the Communist Army, the Red Army as it was known then, was advancing battle after battle toward Shanghai, which was really the gem of the, that was the city to take over. And if Shanghai fell, then all of China would be, go to the communists, would be liberated. And so that was the goal. And as the Communist Army, the People's Liberation Army, approached Shanghai, the panic was just, it was just haywire. Nobody knew how they could get out. And even the expats, the foreigners who were there, who had money, they had foreign currency, which was US dollars, that was gold. Even they couldn't get tickets. Everybody was just sort of like, elbowing each other, like, how can we get there? There are pictures of people on trains where they're so packed inside the train that they're holding on to the outside of the train, the windows, the roofs, sitting on the front of the locomotive and on the top of the train. The tops of the trains were like packed. And one of the things about this is when we think about what it takes for somebody to leave their home, leave everything they know, and if there's such a panic like that, and you can only get 2 tickets, 3 tickets, you've got a huge extended family, who's going to go? Who's going to stay? And when I think today about, the people at the border of the southern border of the United States who are fleeing and carrying their babies to walk 1,000 miles, that is the kind of panic where if I leave my baby, will he or she live or die? If I take them on a 1,000-mile walk, are they going to live or die? It's an impossible choice. And that was the kind of panic that happened in Shanghai. And it's the kind of panic that refugees all over the world go through. It's not an easy choice that anybody makes. So with Last Boat Out of Shanghai, it really is trying to capture a forgotten exodus, a forgotten sense of complete desperation that sent, untold numbers, and it is in the millions, untold numbers of Chinese and possibly up to 1 million people from one city alone, or through one city alone, Shanghai, and then they went wherever they could go, because like.